Hi, everyone, and welcome to AIP's Philanthropist Speak. I'm in conversation with Zarina Screwvala, who is the co-founder of Swades Foundation, and really looking forward to chatting with her and understanding her motivations and her approach. So welcome, Zarina.
Thanks, Rumana. Thank you so much.
So, Zarina, I'm sure everyone wants to know that, what motivated you? What continues to motivate you?
Okay. So I think, I was just thinking about it, but I'll go back to my school where my principal always taught us that, you can give your money, but it's when you give of yourself that you truly give. And I think that's something we've really learned over the years, Rani and I both. And we always gave in small ways. When we had a company called UTV, we had a space in Andheri, so we gave a room as a creche. And we started small works in water since the year 2000 as a small NGO called Share, when we didn't have the kind of resources, financial resources that are available to us now. And then when we divested UTV Rumana, which was around 2012, we really wanted to do something. And it'd been building up in us, this need to really contribute and sort of change people's lives for the better. And Ronnie came up with this line, all right? I left UTV and I was actually going to join Teach for India. And I told Ronnie, Shaheen has met me and I'm going to join Teach for India. In the morning, I told him this. And in the night, he tells me, why don't we lift 1 million people out of poverty? So I said, that's crazy. I'm on. And that's how it began. And we had to convince Shaheen and apologize to Shaheen. But we began this in 2012. And for 1 year, Rumana, we traveled because honestly, as media people, what did we know about poverty? I think we recognized we knew nothing. So the motivation was really to go deeper and really try to understand. And honestly, even over the 10 years, I can't say I've fully understood. But the understanding has improved over time. But before we began, we started this learning journey, which also served as a great motivation. And our final motivation before we designed the final model, which even today has sustained in some ways with tweaks, is we visited BRAC in Bangladesh, Rumana. I don't know if you've been and seen that.
No.
Amazing, amazing work. And we met the head who has since passed away, Sir Faisal. He was our inspiration. And from him, we learned so many things which today have formed the model that is Swades. Of course, it's not identical at all, but it was the deepest inspiration and motivation came from BRAC and the work of Sir Faisal. And I had a starry-eyed moment where I have a lovely picture of Ronnie, me, and Trisha, because she happened to join us for that particular visit. Trisha being Ronnie's daughter, who also has her own lighthouse project. And I have a picture with him as a memento of that moment where the penny really dropped for us on the design.
Wow. So coming to the design, I think that you guys were always quite clear about the key principles that you were going to adopt. And it would be really great to talk about, the model you conceptualized right from, your inspiring visit to Bangladesh and onwards.
Yes. Okay. So as you said, there are a few things that we learned and a few things we added. The most important thing is that we wanted to create a model of development. So we needed to be robust in many ways, which I have to say we developed over the years. We didn't begin being robust in M&E, but now we are quite reasonably, actually very, very robust. But we wanted to create a model for others to follow. And our dream, as I said, is to create a model that lifts 1 million people out of poverty. And then we added one more thing to make it more difficult for us, as if it wasn't difficult enough or crazy enough, was to lift 1 million people out of poverty every 5 years. Wow. So we set ourselves a sort of deadline, if you like. Okay, have we achieved this? No. Have we achieved 1 million? No. Where are we today? 750,000. Okay, we've hit the mark, meaning we've not touched their lives, but they are there within reach. Have we exited and handed over, lifted, past tense? Not yet, but There are many things that are in the making, which we believe we can do it now in 5 years because we've changed our model. Okay, so that's another thing. The other critical principle is we designed a holistic 360-degree model. And Rumana, a lot of people laughed at us and said, no, this is 10 years ago. Huh? So today, it's like, obviously, you should be doing something holistic. But in those days, it was, no, do one thing and do it well, which was very sage and good advice. But we were never really want to follow anybody else's advice to a point. And we like doing crazy things. And we're not scared of failing. And we're not scared of putting in a tremendous amount of time, energy. And at that point, we had enough money as well. Today also, we're blessed with it. So why not? So holistic 360 degrees. So we have interventions in water, sanitation, livelihood, education, and health. And we pick programs within these that we believe, A, we can do, that we're able to do, and B, that we feel are very important for our community. Then we have another thing, which is the geographical approach. So Rumana, we'd go block by block. So we take an entire block and we work with the government. Now, I'll tell you, because in the beginning, we were really scared to work with the government because we were nobody. Why would the government even approach us or meet us? Today, we work with first the state administration and then the district administration. So it's roughly 50,000 to 70,000 people in each block. Even 1 lakh, it can go up to 1 lakh per block. And today we're in 11 blocks. But Raigad, the population is smaller. Nasik, it's bigger. So it's 250,000. So geography. Other principle, which I think really if you don't do any of the above, do this one, is collaborate. Collaborate. As I said in the beginning, you're scared to collaborate with the government. Scared meaning we didn't have the know-all. Today we do. And really, we've met the most amazing, astounding people, especially on the ground, but everywhere, at Sachivalya, at the district level, everywhere. And they've become our heroes on our journey. The other is other not-for-profits. Don't do anything yourself that somebody else can do better. So collaborate. Corporates, of course, but the greatest and most important collaboration, or if you want to even not call it that, it should be a community-centric model, meaning the community is at the heart of the change and they drive the change. So that is roughly our principles, key principles.
Wow, they're very inspirational, and they take a lot of your own, energy, activity, dedication. And why did you choose that? Many people are grant makers, nothing wrong with that, but you chose a very, committed role, right? For yourself, particularly. So tell me about that motivation.
So I think both Ronnie and I enjoy working hard. Okay, that's one thing. We enjoy being deeply involved with what we do. And also, while we had the money, it was not about that. It was really about trying to change people's lives. And really the joy of that, Rumana, and the learning and the growth. And it's a personal joy and a personal learning and a personal growth. For me, these have been the best years of my entire working journey, or if you want to call it work. I don't even know if it's work. It's really part of my life now. So I would not switch it while I have a breath in my body and my legs work, I'm on, like my brain works, I'm still on.
That's really something, because you put your whole self into it, and, guided by your philosophy for life and keeping people at the heart of everything you do, which I'm going to flip and ask you a practical question, which is, how do you measure your work? I mean, I hate to use the word impact because, I realize that is a really, confining way to look at the work you do. But your goals, how do you also convince people to collaborate, right? Which would mean that you have certain markers that you're able to offer.
Okay, Rumana. By the way, I just want to add that it's very, very nice of you to be asking me these questions, but I could ask the same of you and say the same of you and your amazing work. So really, I mean, the time and effort and everything, I know you do the same. I know it very well. So, okay, so I'm going to answer this question. See, I cannot overstate the need for this. Why? Because you don't want to waste time and energy and effort and money. You don't want to impact negatively the people you're trying to work with, right? So we have a responsibility to try and at least be as accurate as possible. And when emotion gets in the way, we can't see properly. So you do need good data, but you also need to go to the field and check. So I cannot overstate. So the first things I would say is try and have a very clear goal. Now, the goal doesn't always have to be a number-driven goal. It can be a mindset change, which we will come to at some point, but which is very difficult to do, but it is measurable and it should be measured. And there are ways to measure it. So don't neglect that aspect, okay? When you set out your work, it sounds very fundamental, Rumana, but please make a baseline, like do a baseline. You set yourself a particular goal, you define the people you want to serve, and then you do a baseline. So if you decided, okay, I'm removing them out of poverty, what are their current poverty levels? How do you judge them, right? Be very clear what you want to measure, including mindset, if you can do it. I mean, and we can do it. Very strong internal M&Es. Bad news needs to go up fast, okay? And we should be ready to correct. You know, accept your errors, because see, we're all trying something new, right? We don't know yet. In fact, the role of philanthropy is to innovate and experiment. So try something new, but check. Every X months, visit the community. If you can go every month, I used to go every month, and now I'm getting older, get a little bit tired. So I go as frequently as possible, but go and see the work for yourself. Talk to the community, ask them, and try and go not too many people and try and, even if possible, go incognito to check so they can really open up to you, because they know, some of them don't know who you are, and that's great, because then you can really check. I would say that. I mean, and finally, I think we took up and we've done a very good study. I think at some point in the progress, do a strong third-party study. So we did it with Dalberg. We're very happy with the results. And also continuous audits, internal and external. It's a must.
Yeah, that's very sage advice, and advice sometimes we tend to overlook. But I think audit is the way to go, right? So you hold yourself accountable more than anyone else. I want to come back to one of the questions, about your key principles being collaboration, but the government wasn't your first pick. And then over your journey, they've become one of your key pillars. It'd be great for people to know, because most people who start off on their philanthropy journey are nervous about, the government. And you've had a very, very collaborative approach with them. And it's harmonious also, right? And it adds value. And I think that, in especially your COVID relief, I think it would be nice for people to hear how you align with government priorities.
Absolutely. So I think, see, when you're a very small organization, as we were before, we re-Christianed, and so pre-2012, at that point may not be so necessary, but even then it's needed. For example, if you want to enter a BMC school, you cannot do it on your own. So you have to have the connect with the government. Don't be scared about it. We have found amazing people, amazing. Okay. Of course, there is everybody, there's good and bad in every institution, but try and find your heroes. So that would be my first advice. Find people who you can connect with. They will always be there in the system. Okay. Use whatever networks and connections you have to do this. Okay. Obviously, very positive networks, and really try and find those people who appreciate and value and have the same thinking as you, and you will find them, because we did. Then, Rumana, today I can say, as we try to grow and scale, And we have a principle where we have 4 E's, and the last E, and I'll come to the 4 E's at some point, but the last E is exit. And this is not possible without strong community connect and strong government connect, because you have to hand over to both your community as well as the government. Okay, if you want to exit as an institution, which we do, though now we've softened the word exit because we're not fully exiting.
Right.
So, you can't really avoid it. It's absolutely essential. I think, for example, one of the best, I will come to COVID, but the one that I really think has worked very beautifully for us is our MOU with the state of Maharashtra to create 1,000 dream villages in Maharashtra. And last year, and they have the same dream as us, I'm talking about the government. The community has the dream, the government has the dream, and we have the dream. So it's a very beautiful partnership where all of us are working in the dream villages because the communities are ready for change. They're ready to take on, right? So Swades is doing its part, the government is doing its part. And last year, to celebrate the 75th year of Indian independence, we handed over 75 dream villages. And we are working on 200 more. And we definitely plan to achieve this goal of 1,000 at least. So I think that was very beautiful. When it came to COVID, we worked extremely closely with the governments of several states, okay, not just Maharashtra. And we literally really used all our resources to fulfill the need of the government, whether it was in PHCs or district hospitals, and we really used every resource, and we had all our donors, we pivoted them to say, let's solve this problem together. So the government, donors, and us came together, and we did a massive, for us at least, we managed to divert 15 crores of assets towards this and to the really needy areas. And that is one aspect, Rumana. But being Swades, the other aspect is we ensured it was installed in the hospitals and the staff was trained on its use. So it's not just, give the machine, but also ensure it's delivered, it's working, and the staff knows how to use it. So it was a very successful program, I think.
Wow, that's amazing. So what would you say are your biggest challenges? Or, for example, as you march on 4,000 dream villages, what would you take, as 2 or 3 of your biggest hurdles?
Okay. So there's the first. See, also, it's very interesting that our biggest challenge, once it's recognized, also becomes the area of greatest learning and then our greatest joy. So the first one is, Rumana, we recognized as we worked, I used to ask, what is poverty? What is it really? And we need to go deeper into this question. Like, what is it really? Is it the lack of water? Is it the lack of toilets? The lack of education? Yes. But what else? And we came up with this realization that poverty is of 2 kinds. Material, which we recognize, but I think the more difficult and actually most heartbreaking form of poverty is what we call mental poverty. Now, mental poverty, as we see it, and we've seen it, is the lack of the ability to dream of a better future for myself, for my family, for my community. It is the lack of pathways. It is the lack of aspiration. ऐसे था और ऐसे रहेगा, हम तो कुछ नहीं कर सकते हैं. This is very heartbreaking to see, and it is very much our biggest challenge. Then there are many other challenges, but to me, this was our major challenge because we are dealing with multi-dimensional poverty. And it took, even though we always said empowerment, rural empowerment is what we stand for, I think we weren't engaged enough to realize, engaging with this aspect because it is extremely difficult to tackle. Right. But today we've created this system, Rumana. It's a 100-day program where we work with new community, a new village, say, or a new revenue village. And now we're exploring the possibility of a new Gram Panchayat. And we have a 100-day program. And it is a testing period, a training and testing period for the community. The community needs to earn it. They have to show they have to be needy. and they have to be
Hmm.
willing. They have to be willing. Now, their willingness,
Right.
their conversion, and their mindset changes need to be apparent within the 100 days. Now, sometimes it takes longer, so we are more patient. Sometimes it happens much faster. But there's a testing phase. We actually make it pretty difficult for them. And what we have found, so in Raigad, 6 blocks, we used to do charity, Rumana. Okay, we used to give.
Right.
Then we realized this is not a good way to go. It is not sustainable. It is not empowering, and we'll never be able to exit. So we changed the model and created the Village Development Committee. The Village Development Committee is 10 ladies, 10 people roughly, 5 men, 5 women, 2 are youth. And they actually carry the dream. They are trained to carry the dream and implement much of what we were doing previously. And it rolled out in 1 block, Sudhagar and Raigad. And now we rolled it out in Nasik. Rumana, if you visit, in 10 years, what we did in Raigad, I think we can complete in 5 in Nasik.
Wow.
Because the community is taking charge, including collaborating with the government. What are the pathways? How can we apply for this program? They've had roads built, they've had water done, they've had all sorts of things done. And the sense of empowerment and joy in the community is our greatest challenge, and today our greatest pride. And there are many others, but I think it's okay. It's a very important one for us.
I love it, Zarina. I love it that, you talk about failures as well as success, because that kind of insight really helps people who are starting the journey, right? And if there was one thing that you could tell someone, who's very hesitant and about to start, whether it's an active or at the moment just a grant giver, what advice would you give someone that you wish you had got 10 years ago?
So I think we got lots of advice, of course, but don't value it till you learn yourself. That's true.
Right.
I think this idea of not creating dependency, having the courage to work, not courage, but the need and seeing the need to work with the government earlier than we did. Also, we realized that this work requires a tremendous amount of patience.
Right.
And accepting failures. I mean, these are the things, we knew, but I cannot overstate, if you're starting on your journey, just be careful of these things. And the other thing I would suggest is please study the problem. Study the challenge deeply, deeply, deeply. Go yourself. Meet other NGOs who are doing amazing work, partner with them, spend days on the field with them, and then roll out your program. You may find that the problem you are passionate about solving may not be in your ability to solve.
Right.
And like, for example, I'll tell you, roads. We are not able to solve that problem. Electricity to a limited extent, yes. Pakka housing, not within our financial capability to give for every household. So then accept that, and then figure out. So be realistic and use, your brain, your hands, your heart. It's a classic thing that we always speak about. Really, all 3 are needed.
I like that, because you then have certain asks of the philanthropic community, right? Which, if I was to just encapsulate, would be patience. I think that's a great lesson for all of us. Accepting failure, and also understanding, like being out on the field and getting a deeper understanding of the role you want to play yourself. And also, can you sustain that role? I think that's important, because, people will see that you've not only sustained, you've thrived on your journey of philanthropy. And that, and at an individual level, I can say for myself, it really resonates for me. And what do you do for yourself, Zarina, when you want to energize yourself? And I can imagine, you have some amazing success and there've been challenges. And how do you get up and, continue, towards this march? And it's ambitious and it's exciting, but I'm sure it takes of you as well. So please do share.
I think the answer is all about people. First is we have an amazing team of 300 people who are full-time Swades. We have 10,000 community volunteers, and we have our community. And I think that's what energizes me when I'm down and thinking, oh God, I don't think we can do this. This is difficult. And then, of course, I have Ronnie and our CEO, Mangesh, who are very positive, very can-do people also. And I'm also a can-do person, but yeah, I tend to feel, oh my God, this is tough. This is difficult. I think what you said earlier about sharing our failures is very important. People need to realize we fail because you will fail in the beginning. It's not, if I find it really odd if you succeeded the first time you tried. It may not even be a good service. It is better that you fail when you're starting small.
Yes.
Because you start becoming more humble and realizing there's a lot of study needed, a lot of respect to be given to what is already there, understanding that other people are not fools. There is certain genuine difficulties and challenges that everyone faces. So go in with some humility, and sometimes failure is the only way we learn humility. But so, yeah. And also one thing is start early, start as early as you can. I don't regret, but I think if we can start our kids on this, if kids can experience the joy of helping anyone, start small, start local. And as you also said, Rumana, you must sustain, because imagine if you start something and then you suddenly stop it. That would be a great disservice.
Yeah, it would. So I think that you've given us really a lot of insights, because we also have to look within as we begin this journey and who we are and what we want to give with abundance and with joy, so that we can share, share of ourselves as you do every single day, and also just understanding from you where you are on your journey and where you want to be. I think it's super exciting, and thank you so much for answering all our questions and giving us lots to think about. I think that's the most important thing, that, we go away thinking about everything you've talked about, whether it's aligning to the government or community ownership. Certainly for me, there's lots to think about in sustainability and calibration. So thanks a million, Zarina. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rumana, and I wish you all the best for all the wonderful work you do. Thanks to AIP and for putting this together. Thank you very much.